Cool. Good evening, everybody. How are you?
Good.
All right. So we got, I think, 90 plus friends online right now that you can't see. So, hi. Mike Holscher with Jackson Systems.
I thought I was supposed to do.
Show me pretty face.
Is this the pretty face?
How about you?
We'll go ahead and get started, I guess. It's 5:30 now, so I want to welcome everybody to our Honeywell training tonight. We got plenty of food in the back, so go ahead and help yourself. Got drinks in the fridge also. In your bags, and also we're going to be offering this online. We have a coupon code for a couple of specials that we have for the training. The Wi-Fi thermostat is going to be on sale for $135, and for the RedLINK 8320, both of these are the Vision Pros, sale at $125. So go ahead. The reason we have this type of special is we want to try to get these products in your guys' hands, you know. So if you don't have one of the Wi-Fis or RedLinks at your home, we're hoping you might buy one and install it in your home. Because, you know, with this type of product, once you touch it, you feel it, you install it once, you know how it works. Then the second time you install it, it's just so much easier. So that's kind of the main reason that we're offering that. So go ahead and use that, please. We got the coupon codes right there for you. So tonight we're going to be talking about Honeywell RedLINK products, and are you going to be talking about the Wi-Fi also?
Wi-Fi and RedLINK.
Wi-Fi and RedLINK. Yeah, it's the wave of the future. So if there's any questions, let's try to make it interactive. If you guys are online, go ahead and type in your questions, and we'll get those questions read and get those answered for you. And if you're here in our facility, just go ahead and ask questions, and let's keep it interactive. And we'll try to make it about an hour and a half long and end up around 7 o'clock or so.
Cool.
And this is Gary from Honeywell, and he'll be doing the training tonight.
Cool. I know most of you guys, for those of you that don't know, Gary Crosby started heating and air in '88. It's hard to believe it's 2015 already. Kind of still feel like I'm in 1988 sometimes. But what we're going to do is I cover Indiana, Kentucky. I cover Jackson Systems here locally, and we're just going to go back over. Some of you have already heard about Wi-Fi and RedLINK, and you already put them in. Some of you don't, but we're just going to refresh some stuff, and then we're going to get more detail about the opportunities of these things. And, you know, some of the history of these internet-connected stats, you know, I've been preaching this for 3-4 years now, and some people that come to their shop and they're like, oh, man, here comes Gary, and I'm going to hear about internet stats again. You know, and I get that, but it's not going away, and it's not going to go away. It's like a tsunami. You know how tsunamis work? You can't see the wave, and then all of a sudden it's on you. Right, so I'm going to continue to harass you about this because, you know, I was a contractor a long time, and I love changing out equipment. And there's a lot of good profit in changing equipment. And thermostats, I can remember when I first started, we didn't even change them. Remember? It was like, man, I'd ask the sales guy, I said, why didn't we change this thermostat in there? Well, they didn't have. I got one, you know, and that's just the way it was in the past. And then, you know, moving into the mid-'90s, you started seeing change-outs started. Well, let's change the stat to and the filter to, and indoor air quality creeped in, and I can remember wishing that, you know, when computers started, I didn't get my first computer till '97. You know, I didn't have an email till 1997, which is kind of crazy when you think about it. Wasn't that long ago? And in 2000, I can remember getting my first 56K modem, thinking, wow, man, it's not 28. What was it, even 28.8 or something? I can't remember. But I got a 56K thinking, oh, man, this is great. And it still took like 15 minutes to get a picture downloaded or whatever. And now it's just crazy. Everybody's got Wi-Fi. Everybody's got high speed. So the market's finally here, and we're controlling things. And then, you know, we got these things, right? Everybody's got one, right? I mean, there's still part of our clients that are off the grid. I get it, and never want to connect, and we have stuff for them, right? But the majority of the consumers out there, I mean, you go to dinner, they're not talking to each other, right? They're kind of they may be texting each other right in front of each other, I don't know. But my kids, I catch them all the time doing that stuff. My girls are 10 and 11 years old. They just got iPhones this Christmas, with a little spoiled. But I recommend it if you want to ground them. It sticks because you take their phones away and it's great, right? So, but they turned it into, hey, I'm downstairs, bring me some food. So I don't know. But they're going to be our customers, right? I mean, people that are in their 20s and 25-year-old guys 10 years from now are going to be 35-year-old people that are going to be homeowners, consumers, that this is going to even be more crazy than it is right now, right? And then homeowners want it now. And don't prejudge your customer, because if they got a phone and iPad laying on their kitchen table, they're probably going to want this to connect. And let's look at this. How many of you have those? Who's got a smart TV? I do. Why didn't you buy the dumb one? Who wants a dumb anything, right? I don't want anything dumb. And I can get streaming internet. I can get Netflix on that thing. And most of your customers have that, right? And if I'm going to buy something that's going to cost thousands of dollars with a heating and air system, why doesn't it come with an app? This is 2015. Everything else has an app. I mean, you can get a garage door opener with an app, right? Well, why not my furnace or my heat pump and all that stuff? And if I'm in Florida on vacation, which I'm going next week, thank gosh, it's vacation time, and something goes wrong with my heat and air, it's going to be air conditioning time up here, maybe. I don't know. But it's going to email me if my heat didn't work or my cooling didn't work. And then I can call my contractor and say, here's my garage code, go fix it. Instead of coming home to a frozen pipe or a basement full of water or whatever, because I could do a lot of monitoring with these things that is, you know, in commercial, this is nothing new, right, guys? And what in residential wasn't in commercial first? I did energy management systems in 1995, and we did all this stuff. Of course, you pulled a load of wires, and most of the stuff nowadays is wireless. So if your customer's got a smart TV and you got one, and you're selling furnace, coil, condenser changeouts, sell smart systems. And every single one of these Wi-Fi and RedLINK stats make a dumb system smart, right? And that's how you have to market it to your customer. So a couple of marketing points. There's more cell phone activations a day than babies born in the world a day. It's crazy, isn't it, when you think about that? And that's how much this internet connected stuff really has hit us. Where we used to spend times on the PC, it's actually, we spend more mobile time than we do PC time, and that's people that go to work and own PCs all day, right? And I mean, I'm on my phone all the time, but it's business, but I'm, you know, talking to people too. So back in the late 90s and 2000s, when I got my first computer, you know, I was still one of the fringe people, right? I mean, it was still a slow adoption, but then it caught on fast. But mobile and web adoption's 8 times faster than going from, you know, nothing to computer, or from Commodore 64 to Windows 95, right? So it's a big quantum leap on connectivity. And then this chart here shows you the green is the connected devices, and that's everything connected, like GPS on trucks, Wi-Fi Wi-Fi connections. There wasn't Wi-Fi stats back then. And the blue is the number of people on the planet. So the number of people on the planet eclipsed the connected devices. In 2010, connected devices eclipsed people on the planet. And then today, where we are right now, look at it. And 5 years from now, it's going to be crazy. And that's why you have to connect as much as possible, because it's just a furnace connected to a thermostat now, and I get to go remotely and have fun with it and get some alerts. But 5 years from now, it's going to integrate security. The Internet of Things is coming out to where it's the Jetsons all of a sudden, right? And I wake up and my phone goes off to wake me up, and my coffee maker starts dripping coffee, and my water heater brings my temperature up because I got on demand or whatever, and all that stuff's going to be saving energy and on the grid, and my toaster might even, you know, start toasting toast. I know it's too many times to say toast, but that's what's happening. And then you've got people outside of what we do, right, that are selling thermostats that traditionally didn't sell thermostats. So you can have your guys go out and do a clean and check in the morning, and that customer may have taken the whole day off, and have the cable guy come in after your guy gets there, and your guy didn't explained to them that this is available and this is what we do, and then the cable guy did. And you don't want to lose a thermostat sale to the cable guy. It just makes absolutely no sense. And they're not the only ones. ADT, this gentleman here was just telling me about, he put in a thermostat for ADT.
ATT.
AT&T.
Yeah.
Well, that's a telephone company, and so that's another example. So they called you, or how'd y'all get hooked
They
up?
contacted me.
That's happening every day, right? It should be you guys doing that, and that was a security company, a little bit different, but you know, Honeywell and Carrier and Bryant and Lennox and Train's already doing this, you know, where they're integrating security and mobile video, web video, and all these things into to where you can have one app that does all this stuff. And there's kind of a fight to where who's going to get it, right? And that's why we're such, that's why everybody like me is really pushing this, because you're not going to have a choice, right? And I'm going to be around a few more years, so this is my livelihood and yours, okay? So back in 2000, when I had dial-up, there wasn't a whole lot of households. There wasn't 72%. Now 72% of all households in North America is broadband. And broadband makes all this possible because it's fast, right? And then you take manufacturers like us, and by 2020, it's over $1 billion business, where we don't even want to make stats that don't have the Wi-Fi antenna in it, right? It's going to be just like a choice for a filter timer. Wi-Fi, yes or no, right? If you don't want to be on the grid, fine. But if they sell that house and somebody else moves in and you still servicing that unit, you could say, hey, you want to unlock your Wi-Fi today? And that's when it's going to be kind of cool, right? I mean, why not just make them all with it in it? And it's probably, I know that's where we're going. So, you know, it's, but we don't want to be the geek squad, because we're heating air guys, right? And if I ask you guys what's 802.11, who can answer it? How many, let me ask you it this way. How many of you have Wi-Fi routers in your house? Then all of you have 802.11, because that's the frequency it talks to. When you buy an iPad, and you know you get the box, and you don't throw the box away, because I don't know why. You don't throw the iPad box away. It's kind of crazy. But you get online, you type in your password, and how that talks to each other is 802.11. How these Wi-Fi stats talk to that router is 802.11, right? And if we don't know what that is, it's kind of like not knowing what MERV rating is, right? What's MERV?
It's a filter.
Minimum efficient reporting value, right? I'm a nerd. But it's just how efficient is the filter. Well, with the internet, our homeowners, man, they'll know this stuff. And you don't want them to say, don't you know what BGNN routers are, or 802.11 is? I mean, you can Google your way through just about anything these days. So once you're done listening to me today and you don't know this stuff, go look up, type in Wi-Fi router and Wikipedia that thing and read it. It's not going to hurt you, right? But Wi-Fi routers, Wi-Fi stats hooked to Wi-Fi routers. RedLINK stats hooked to any router. We're not looking for Wi-Fi. We're doing something different. That's why you need that gateway, and we're going to explain that. Okay? So a couple years ago, 80% of the connected stats in North America was through retail, because, you know, we're contractors, man. We're swapping equipment out. We're pulling vacuums. We're trying to do temperature rise, and we're putting thermostats in, but that's to turn it on and off. We're right. You know what I'm talking about. So yeah, you know, if my homeowner asks me for a Wi-Fi stat, I'll sell him one, but I'm not going to bring it up. Is what I was getting. Even last year, right? Well, I had an old sales manager that told me, if you don't take her dancing, somebody else will. You know what I mean by that? You have to own this. And it's happening. As of last year, 45% of the connected stats are coming through trade, which is us, right? I don't get paid from retail. I get paid from what you guys do. And let's keep this up, because I want to own this, okay? So That's a really ugly stat, but why leave that on there? Because that's the face of your company when you standardize on lower end stats. And I get it, you're doing your calculations, job costing and all that stuff. But, you know, even with the least expensive Wi-Fi stat, they never go to this anymore. This is the thermostat now. I'm using my phone. I mean, I sit in my bed. If I'm too hot, I don't have to get up and change my stat. I'm very lazy, you can tell. And it's even better now because I can just say, just run it down a couple degrees or up, right? And it's as lazy as that sounds, it's very convenient. And I cover 2 states, so when I'm in Kentucky and I'm on my way home, I check my house. Hey, I'm 3 hours away. Let's go ahead and crank it up. And when I get home, I'm not suffering through. And I don't really program because I'm a traveling sales guy, so I could be local. I could be in Fort Wayne. I could be in Lexington. So it's very convenient for me. And if it's convenient for me, I know it's convenient for other people because we all work hard and we're not always home, right? So let's go through Wi-Fi versus RedLINK because I get this question a lot. It's very confusing sometimes. What's Wi-Fi and what's RedLINK? Well, Wi-Fi stats use the router, like I said. They still hardwire the same as non-Wi-Fi stats. I still need a red, I still need a yellow, I still need a W, I still need a green, right? But I have to have a common with these because the Wi-Fi router, that signal needs that good power, battery powered, ain't all that great with routers. So we need a common, right? If you're one of those territories that have 4-wire installed rough ends, right, and you don't have that common wire, call your Jackson rep because we sell a little inexpensive wire saver that mounts right in the furnace or whatever. Takes 5 wires to 4, so I don't have to yank a wire up to the house. Okay, and RedLINK is we can do wireless or 2-wire, but you ain't always going to need RedLINK, right? Wi-Fi is going to cover a lot of your accounts. And then RedLINK is a system of devices that we have to close the protocol because Wi-Fi can't support all that wireless stuff. It would really, there's such a thing called bandwidth on a router, and you can only shove so much stuff in a router. And if we just can't do it, the technology isn't there yet, right? Maybe 5 years from now, but now it's not. And then RedLINK is commercial or residential, right? So if you're a commercial guy, it's really nice to have one stat in your truck instead of having a TB8220 for my commercial jobs and a TH8320 for my residential jobs. We just put them both in one. So when you start it up, it asks you, are you residential or commercial today? And the software is, both softwares in there. Very convenient, right? And you don't want to use Wi-Fi on commercial jobs as much as possible. Like if it's a little small strip mall and it's fine if the router's close by, but in these big buildings where you got 40 stats, you know, you're only 200 feet away from that router and you start losing bars, right? It might even happen in your own house with your laptop. I go to the other end and man, it just don't pick up as good as in the kitchen or whatever. So you don't have that phenomenon with RedLINK. So what you got is all these stats over here is our Wi-Fi stats, right? They're 3 heat, 2 cool. This one dual fuels. This one dual fuels. This one don't, and that one don't. And if you don't know what I'm talking about online, the top one's a Wi-Fi 6000, no dual fuel, 3 heat, 2 cool. The one below it's the Wi-Fi 8000, which does do dual fuel. You gotta have an outdoor sensor, right? Which we're gonna upgrade that to where it does web data instead of pulling a wire for dual fuel very soon. Then the color one that looks like the Prestige here is the Wi-Fi 9000, which is a very popular stat. It's great for residential, even though it has a business side to it. It's limited on business, okay? But it's no dual fuel. And then the Lyric down there is dual fuel, and that's more of a techie type thing for that segment of customer. And then you go on this side of the fence here, and that's the RedLINK stuff. The Prestige IQ, the Vision Pro, which updated our old one, and then I got these devices here that I can add that are wireless. That really saves time and solves some comfort issues, right? So if you rock up on a house that in your service band, it's 2-story and they got a condenser sitting outside of it, what's going on upstairs in that house in summertime? It's hot. And you should know that before you can get out of the truck. Say, wow, I bet they're hot, right? And then be a service tech today. You don't need to be a salesman today. Just be a service tech. Take your meter out, measure the upstairs, measure the downstairs. And if it's 10 degrees hotter and you're getting a ticket signed, say, you know what, Mr. Johnson, it's 10 degrees hotter upstairs and downstairs. How's that working for you? And have they ever told you, just leave it? I love to burn up at night upstairs. They'll never tell you that. What they're going to do is spill out the pain that they're living in, and you already know it. But you got to let it be their deal. And then once they tell you, you know, we moved here from Cincinnati 3 years ago. It's always been hot up there. We don't know what to do. And you've looked at the ductwork, and if you can add mechanical dampers, you can zone it, right? And you remember back in the day, you go and you put the dampers were easy enough to get to because the furnace was close to the duct and I could see everything. But then I had to go and spend 2 days pulling wires up to the top other floors. Well, wireless to my zone panel. Or add the module wireless to Jackson's zone panel, right? It doesn't matter. You can add it to whatever is existing or new, and you're good to go. And that really saves a lot of time. I remember back in Tennessee when I was a contractor, we did a lot of zoning on retrofit, and to get wires upstairs out of crawl spaces, I'd go to Home Depot and buy a fake downspout, stick it on the house, and drill a hole with wires and go up through the eave with it. And from the road, it looked like another drain. But really, it was a wire chase because I just didn't have any other way to get it up there. It's a whole new world now, right? And if I can't zone it, I'll add that portable comfort control, and it's like pulling the thermostat off the wall, take it upstairs with you. Except you don't have to do that. I just buy that portable comfort control, wirelessly connected to the stat, stick it upstairs, and instead of that homeowner running that stat down to 60 at night to compensate upstairs, I just sit that by my bedside and say, read from this right now, because I'm sleeping. And then about 2 o'clock in the morning, it's going to catch up. And then instead of keeping running, because like the downstairs crank down does, it's going to shut the refrigeration process off. And you still have some overcooling, but it's not as dramatic as they were living before. And guess what? You got to sell it, right? Because don't kid yourself. We don't need the practice. We need the money. And you always hear it ain't about the money, but it's about the money, right? I like to make money. It comes in pretty handy, right? And then wireless outdoor sensor. How many of you pulled sensors to our stats before? Everybody, right? Ain't always easy. And it ain't always on the sunny side. It ain't always on the shady side. Hey, I got a nice chase. It's easy to pull the wire, but sun beats down on that side of the house every day, and it's 90 degrees on my sensor. Or it shows 90 degrees because it's you know how it does, the radiant. So it doesn't matter how many of these stats I have in the house. I put one outdoor sensor out there, and it shows up on all of them. It's very convenient. And you can put it where it's going to read true ambient temperature. It also reads humidity. So if you got a humidifier hooked to that thing, it's going to give you dew point control for the windows so they don't sweat, right? Or when they start sweating, you can limit it so it doesn't cause that water to condensate on the window. How many of you have put sensors, indoor sensors, on the TH8000s? You remember the hardwire, you got to run 4 or 9 and do series parallel wiring. Remember? Pain in the butt. Especially in a residential job. In a commercial job, you still had to remove ceiling tiles all out of the way, and you know you got black hands from running gas pipe earlier, and now you got to replace ceiling tiles because you got fingerprints on them. But it's not fun to run all that stuff. So now I can do, instead of doing square roots of 4 or 9, I can add 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6 of these things, push a button, and leave that job and average. It's very convenient, right? They also have humidity sensors in them. So for residential, if I can average, I can also, if I put a dehumidifier in the basement, I'm controlling the stat from upstairs. I don't want to sense if the humidity is down in my basement and I want to sense from there, I'd have to put a different control down in the past. Now I can just add that indoor sensor down there and say, sense humidity from the basement, and still control it from my stat so I don't got to run all over the house, right? Nice central control and very easy. And then the gateway takes that stuff to the internet. So everything I just said with RedLINK runs without the gateway. The gateway is exactly as it sounds. It's a gateway, to the internet. If you don't want to go to the internet, don't put the gateway in. Still turns the furnace on and off, still does all that RedLINK averaging, still does everything else. Follow me? So it's just, it has to take all that signal that we have to close for security reasons and because there's just nothing else exists that'll handle all that stuff, and translate it and to a smaller bandwidth down through that Wi-Fi router to our servers. Everybody, does that make sense? So that's the difference between Wi-Fi and RedLINK. Both go to the internet, but one solves a lot of problems and goes to the internet, where the other one, it turns the system on and off, and sometimes that's all people need, right? So just know what your job needs that day. So let's go through the first one. The first one, the least expensive way to go to the internet for your customer is a TH6320WF. If you don't know anything about our model numbers, let me just walk through nomenclature, right? Nomenclature sets you free in heat and air world, right? So the TH means Thermostat Homes Division. That's who I work for. To you, it means a 5-year warranty, okay? If you go out on a service call and it's got an R in front of it, it's retail thermostat. That's 1-year warranty from wherever they got it, Menards, Home Depot, and all that mess. 6000 is the version of, it's the Focus Pro line, right? And the 5000 is Focus Pro 2, but you notice it's odd number. So from 6 down, the 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, even numbers programmable, odd numbers non-programmable. Okay, if you didn't know that. But this one, we just made it non-programmable and programmable. So you can actually go in the installer setup and take the programming out in an installer setup instead of just pushing hold. Okay, and then the 3 and the 2 means I can do 3 heat, 2 cool. I can do 2 heat, 2 cool, 1 heat, 1 cool, 3 wire zone valve, whatever. I can dumb it down, and if I'm out in the cornfield, that's the only stat I need, right? That's what I love about multi-stage stats, because I'm not stuck with having to jump something at the furnace and then having to go back and put the right stat on, or leaving it and making that system less efficient because I'm not letting proper staging happen. And then WF means Wi-Fi, okay? Vision Pro is just like our old one, but it's Wi-Fi. So it does exactly the same thing, except for it hooks to an internet, right? And how these two stats hook to the internet is you have to put it on the wall, hook a common to it, and then take your device. I always use the homeowner's device, and hit settings and find the Wi-Fi signal. Everybody know how to do that with their phones? And what's going to display on your phone is new thermostat. And then when you click on that, it's going to bring up a password screen, and you enter in the homeowner's password. Now, sometimes some homeowners don't know what their password is because they just hadn't used it enough, right? So make sure that your homeowner knows what their password is as soon as you get to the job. They may have to call somebody or go find it. Most people do know, but occasionally you won't know, or they won't know, and you don't want that to give you a little hiccup there. And once you bridge it, then that's all you really got to do. So when we upgrade this, you'll just type it on the screen, and that little step will go away, right? Which will be really nice. The Wi-Fi 8000 or 9000, which is this one, already touched. You just bring it up on the screen of the stat. So I'll go through a couple. Now, so I gave you guys, this is a TH9320WF. The 9000 means the color, and 320 means 3 heat, 2 cool. The 0 means no humidity sensor. If it was a 1, it would read humidity in that nomenclature. I forgot to say that. But this one's very cool. And it doesn't have an outdoor sensor, but once you hook it up to the internet, it'll show outdoor temperature and humidity on the stat from weather.com. But no dual fuel, right? Now, hopefully they'll upgrade that. But it's still a cool stat. And how you set this thing up is similar to this Prestige. You'll pick the language, home or business. You can name it by just, it's like a text, right? It'll come up and you can say like in the kids' room or office or whatever. Thermostat controls heating and cooling, forced air heat pump or hot water or steam, depending on what you got, gas, oil, electric, and then do you want to connect to a Wi-Fi system? You say yes, and it'll search for the networks and just bring it up on the screen. Very simple, right? And then the password thing will come up, and it'll give you a place to text it in. And it's as simple as that. So it's very, very easy. Probably the easiest stat I got to connect, other than RedLINK. RedLINK's just pushing a button. But it's by far the easiest Wi-Fi stat I got, okay? And you can also change the colors of this thing. So the homeowner wants to match their walls, you can do it, right? A bunch of guys like us probably ain't that important, but it ain't about us, right? Homeowners. And you can do different things, but there's a fixed set, and then there's 256. You can make it whatever, right? So very, very simple. It's easier to install. It really looks nice too, you know. So based on what your customer's needs are, like especially in a high traffic area, they may just want to see that color. I got the color Prestige. I love it, but even though I got that, this is my stat, right? But I'm doing other things with my Prestige, and we'll get into that. So now we get any question about Wi-Fi before we go to RedLINK? Pretty simple. Am I doing okay? Okay. So RedLINK. What RedLINK is 928 megahertz proprietary signal. So if you know how you got 928 dot a bunch of numbers, we actually own. We're a defense contractor. I mean, we don't make the bomb, but we fly through the window kind of thing, and we own a bunch of frequencies. So this is something we own, so it's dedicated, but that's not what really makes the security side of it. It's close. The old 8000, I put it on the wall, right? And I'll see you in 15 years. And how is that helping me on a retrofit business or a service business, right? Because we're there every 6 months to do annual. We got away with the RedLINK stuff. We got away from the books. You ever been in a cornfield, right? After hours and didn't know what setup number 236 was and couldn't get a hold of nobody and no internet signal. If you don't know what the setup number is and you don't have your book with you, you kind of messed up. So we took all that away. So it's all asking you questions now. How many compressors you got? 1 or 2? It's like an interview, right? And it really takes that out, which is I'm so glad they got away from, right? So this stat, I can still tie it into my furnace the same way I always did. But if I don't have enough wires in the wall, or I want to have more options, I add that module, and that module can be 2-wire or wireless to the stat. It's very convenient, right? And I can, once I add that module, it becomes a 4-heat, 2-cool thermostat. And that's even if I've got a 1-heat, 1-cool version of that in the house already. If I add that module, it upgrades that to 4-heat, 2-cool, which is awesome. I don't have to take stuff out. So if I'm a service tech and they're 2 years away from needing to change that furnace, but their thermostat needs to be swapped, you can say, let me put this in today, and then when we change that unit out, I'll add that other part, and you can dual fuel whatever you choose at that time, and we're not stuck, right? Which may be the way to do it. And there's other stuff we can do to make sure that you get an email from that stat saying it don't work, which is very awesome, right? You don't have to wait on them to call you. James can call his customer and say, your heat pump just called. We got to fix you or replace you. And that's a whole different ballgame, isn't it? Right? So to the furnace, 2-wire to the module, wireless to the module. How many of you have to relocate a thermostat before? Right? So I've done it. And to the horror of a homeowner, when I took my hammer and bust in the wall and start drilling up through stuff, it's more professional, it's more security-like when I can just put stuff on the wall, push a button, and move on to the next call, right? And we all have families. I want to get home for dinner. And I didn't make it home to dinner because I spent 3 hours pulling a wire on the first job that I got sent to move a stat wire. Well, how about do that and not do it? You're going to spend the money one way or the other. Spend the money on wire pull or product. And actually, this is less expensive than a wire pull a lot of times, right?
Welcome to the installation guide for the all-new Vision Pro 8000. In this video, we'll cover how to install
Y'all can't hear that, can you?
Vision Pro without an equipment interface module, how to power optional RedLINK wireless accessories, and how to perform initial setup. To skip ahead ahead or review a specific section, just click on the chapter menu below. Let's get started. The all-new Vision Pro 8000 can be installed 3 different ways: wired directly to the equipment, wirelessly with an EIM, or wirelessly with a True Zone adapter. This video will only demonstrate how to wire the thermostat directly to the equipment. To learn more about installing with an EIM or True Zone adapter, visit forwardthinking.honeywell.com. To install the all-new Vision Pro 8000 without an EIM, first separate the wall plate from the thermostat. For drywall, drill holes that are 3/16 of an inch wide. For plaster, drill holes that are 7/32 of an inch wide. Mount the wall plate using screws into anchors included with the thermostat. Next, insert supplied AA alkaline batteries for primary or backup power. For 24-volt AC primary power, connect the common side of the transformer to the C terminal. Please note that if you're not using an EIM or True Zone adapter, a C wire is required for RedLINK. Then, wire the thermostat according to the diagrams provided in your install guide. Activate the coin cell battery by removing the tab. The battery will save time and date during a power loss. Finally, align the thermostat with the bottom of the wall plate and snap it into place. System power can now be reapplied. Because the thermostat is wired directly to the equipment, you'll need a C wire to use RedLINK accessories. Make sure power is turned on before you proceed to initial thermostat setup. To power the accessories, install batteries in each device and set them aside. Please note the indoor and outdoor sensors, entry-exit remote, and vent and filter boost remote each require additional setup. Please follow the on-screen prompts during the thermostat installer setup. Next, hook up the RedLINK Internet gateway to the customer's router or modem with an Ethernet cable. Then, connect the gateway's power cord to an electrical outlet that isn't controlled by a wall switch. To perform initial thermostat setup, follow the prompts on screen to select the type of system you're installing. When you see the prompt asking you if you want to connect RedLINK accessories, touch No or Yes. If you don't have any accessories to connect, you can finish initial setup. If you selected Yes, you'll need to connect each accessory. While the message "Press Connect on New Accessories" is displayed, you can begin adding new accessories. Press and release the Connect button on each new accessory to link it to the thermostat. After a short delay, check the thermostat to confirm the connection. Continue adding accessories by pressing and releasing the Connect button on each device, and checking the thermostat to confirm connection. A countdown timer will display while the thermostat is in listening mode. If it detects no activity for 15 minutes, it will automatically exit. Please note accessories must be at least 2 feet away from the thermostat during the linking process. Touch Done at the thermostat after all new accessories are connected. Complete initial setup by selecting the desired options.
No book.
Touch Done to finish. The thermostat will then display its home screen, along with an alert message prompting you to set the time and date. After this step, setup is complete. For more information on
Cool or not cool? It's cool. If you ever put one in, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't, you need to, because it's awesome, right? No book in the help menu that you saw on the other side of the screen. If you push help, that part of the book comes up, so you can actually still read it, but you don't have to carry it around, okay? So that plus that equals that, right? So you have to have the gateway with RedLINK, which is not a dirty word, right? And I'm not trying to sell you another box. It's necessary. So, and it's really your friend. 1 gateway per 4 stats, okay? Residential or commercial. So if I had 12 stats in a commercial building, Craig, how many gateways I need? 3. Simple math. I'm from Tennessee. I got to count like that. No offense, Tennessee. I'm picking on myself, right? So is that cool? That's what we do. So old, see in 15 years. New, every 6 months I can add something to you. Service manager's dream, man. Sales guy's dream. Homeowner's dream, because they really want to be comfortable and they may not need it now, they might need it later. I don't want to have to rip stuff out. I want to add to, right? And that's what we do. New Vision Pro, I can go to the internet. I can solve some comfort issues anywhere that I carry that handheld around. Temperature follows me, right? Averaging. Thermostat's over in the hallway. It's 5 degrees warmer on that side of the house. Why not say it? Take your temperature probe and measure both sides and say, it's hotter over here. Yeah, we noticed that. I got a little sensor on my truck. I can add to that and even it out. Sure. Or no. Big deal. Most people are going to say give it a shot, and then it's going to average that out. Outdoor sensor. I don't have to pull a wire. And I can have multiple stats in the house, and that one outdoor sensor broadcasts to all of them, up to 16. Okay? And then these two things I've failed to talk about are an enter-exit remote. So in a commercial or residential deal, I can mount it by my back door, and if I'm not online and I just push away, it sets them all back. Come home, it turns them all on. Or cleaning crew, because there's 2 plates in that box. The commercial residential plate, faceplate. And it's going to say occupied, unoccupied, and holiday on commercial, and home, away, vacation on residential. Okay? And on commercial side of the business, right? So with traditional programmable stats, what do you do when it's Christmas and New Year's and they're not there? It turns on occupied mode. This one don't. There's holidays in there. And you just go and push and select the holidays that business isn't open, and it stays unoccupied the whole day. It's all about ROI in commercial, right? That's a big plus. And all the recovery ramps for there's places to hook up to an economizer and all that stuff. You remember light stats in light commercial jobs, or how much are those light stats? Anybody remember? They're expensive, way more than this, and it had that little sensor on there, so when the lights went out, it would shut the unit back. This, if you don't use the economizer terminal on that, it's also a time of day lighting, so you can actually put a low voltage relay to the lights, and when it goes to unoccupied, it can shut the lights off. So it's really, really cool stat. So give it a shot in both residential and commercial. Then we get to this pup.
Can you
Yes.
do the occupied and unoccupied from your wireless or your iPhone, or you have to push the button?
Nope, you can totally do that from the Wi-Fi. So from the app. So what Craig asked is, can I go occupied, unoccupied from my my thermostat? Y'all want to see it? I can bring it up real quick. Okay. Or I'll tell you what, I got it at the end. I'll go through. Okay. And then any other questions about the RedLINK Vision Pro? Okay. A lot of what I'm going to talk about on the Prestige is built in there too. It's just not color. Okay. So the Prestige IQ is a 2-wire, and it has to have that module, and it comes all packaged in the box. All right. Residential or commercial. It also comes with a couple of sensors, right? And those sensors are supply and return sensors. Don't throw them away, put them in there, right? The only thing on commercial, I don't want to do delta T monitoring if I'm bringing in fresh air, because it's always going to be off, right, when I'm bringing in outside air. So you can still know what it is, right? At the stat, I can say, oh, there's my return temp, my supply temp. Eventually, you're going to be remotely able to do that. I know that's a big thing for commercial guys. I wish I could tell you could view it remotely now. You just can't. But that's it's coming, okay? So, but these things, if I was your cardiologist and I said, man, before you have a heart attack and die, I'll be able to, I can put a chip in your right by your heart, and I'll get an email saying you better get to you, stay where you're at, and send an ambulance, and save your life. That'd be an awesome doctor, right? Well, I could put this on a furnace today and have those 2 sensors in there and dial in a delta T alert. Don't go above that. Don't go below this. And after 5 alerts, it's in 5 faults, it'll send an alert. It's not going to be a nuisance. It's going to be a real alert. And what happens if I got a delta T out of whack? Could be all kinds of stuff, right? But it's not working right. And it doesn't really show its ugly head till 100-degree day hits and it pops that compressor. It might have been, still cooling, and the homeowner might have noticed some discomfort, but it's like the heart attack. If you knew he was going to have a heart attack, you wouldn't need, right? I know that's a horrible analogy, but it's kind of the same thing with a unit. A unit's got a heart in it, it's that compressor, and if it ain't running right and the diagnostics aren't right, something's going to happen. Heating air system's the same way. What do you do when you first go to a cleaning check? After you clean it, what do? Diagnose. I got to check the pressure and make sure there's not a leak and all that other stuff. When you go to the doctor, what do they do when you first get there? They weigh you. They put a blood pressure cuff on you, take your temperature, same thing, just different, right? And in a lot of ways, you're just like a doctor. You got to find out what's going on. You got to repair, just like they do you. So this allows that to happen with a heating and air system. And instead of them calling you saying, my compressor just died, right, and it's a 100-degree day, and wow, I wish I could get to you, but I'm busy. I was sending guys home last week. Why didn't you call me last week? Well, it didn't die last week. So if I got, some preemptive alerts, instead of sitting there playing cards going, man, I wish we had a service call, and then somebody rings in, y'all slide down the pole, put your overalls on, get in the truck and go, this will tell you before it happens. And instead of being reactive like we always have been, allow some proactive stuff to happen. Does that make sense? Man, this thing costs too much. Does it? I mean, if it can tell me all this stuff, it's really not that expensive at all. And it comes in there. You ever had a frozen coil and the homeowner call you and say, I got a big old block of ice coming out of that thing that's got that black tube coming out of it. However, they don't know what, a lot of them don't know what it is. But they know there's ice down there and it ain't cooling. And what do you tell them? Shut it off, turn the fan on, I'll see you in a couple hours. And then they don't do it because they're busy. And then you get there after all that time, and you get there and there's a big block of ice still. And hopefully you don't take your scratch off and try to get it off and cause a coil leak. Okay. So this has that supply sensor in there, and you do a coil cutoff inside the thermostat, and it will turn the unit off, turn the fan on, and email you and them, and show up on the stat. That's pretty awesome. What else does that? Nothing. There's no stat out there that I know of but that one that does it, in commercial or residential. It also, because I got that board and I got some extra dry contact spaces down there, if I'm commercial and you do water source heat pumps, you ever had a pump go down on a water source heat pump? How do you know it? When they call you and say that ain't doing its job over there. You can put flow sensors on that pump that has a contact on it, and it'll close when that pump don't work. You can tie it in that stat, get an email that pump's down on that water source heat pump. That's worth its weight in gold. If you got to roll a truck an hour and a half to that spot. Yes, sir.
Can you, on that address, on that stat, can you put an identity to that set of contacts or that input?
Yes. The question is, can I name that alert? There's a fixed set of names, and there's one custom. So I can actually show you that. Okay. So inside the stat, it'll say pick one of these to do, and it's going to say full drain pan, right? I mean, imagine living out in Westfield up here and working downtown Indianapolis or wherever you live, and drain pan fills up with water because something happened, and you walk in on a 95-degree house after working all day, and then you got to call your heating and air guy. Man, that'd make you cuss a little bit, right? And I could have left and met my service contractor at my house at lunchtime if I would have just known it. So now, with this stuff in there monitoring all this mess, you could have called them and say, hey, can you meet me there at lunch? Because you got a full drain pan full of water, man, and let's do this during normal business hours. Because what's going to happen is they're going to call you, just pull the steaks off the grill, right? I'm on call. I hold a lot of calls, and they call you, and you're gone. And could have happened during normal business hours. And I like making money too over time. I get it, but I like being at home too. So it's all about the end user experience. It's customer delight. I mean, that we never was able to do that before, and they don't have to call you to fix it. So the more you can tie them in, it's stickiness between you and that homeowner or that business owner that you hadn't been able to do before. So any dry contact that you got can tie into this and alert from. Yes, sir.
I've heard a couple of people say that they carry their hotspot on their phone so they don't have Wi-Fi at home. Are you guys going to come up with a result of that?
Yeah, get Wi-Fi at your house, or satellite Wi-Fi, because if I take my hotspot with me, my thermostat can't tell me that the unit ain't working.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting at.
Yep.
That's the rebuttal they say. Because my role is we offer rebates for the utilities.
Absolutely. Vector, and we're going to go over that too.
And the gist of it is, if they do not have Wi-Fi, so then you could secure a separate.
If they don't have internet, they got to get internet, right?
Well, that's what I'm getting at. Though some people carry that on. They use their phone as their hotspot.
Then they can't be in this game, right? Because I mean, I get that with lake houses. I don't want internet at my lake house. Well, I'm sorry, you have to have it if you want to remotely monitor it, right? And you know, I got people that do Wi-Fi hotspots. I get it, but you got to have a fixed something on all the time. You don't have to. Back when our first Wi-Fi stat was with our Envirocom communication, you had to have a computer on all the time, and you could go through the phone line, and that's not it, right? But so I need Wi-Fi. I need internet, broadband internet for any of this stuff to work. So it's a really good question, right? But if they take their Wi-Fi with them, there's Wi-Fi stat ain't gonna work, so don't even sell them one. But there's alternatives to that, right? They might have cable TV there. Dish Network has Wi-Fi, and that works with that, right? But does that make sense? Okay. So indoor, outdoor, wireless outdoor sensor, all the same stuff, wireless stuff works with these too, commercial or residential. But these do a little more. So instead of, I can't view all my hourly, daily, weekly, monthly information that the thermostat gathers on the RedLINK Vision Pro, but this one I can go on screen and see all that stuff. What my conditions were, months ago, from the outdoor temperature, indoor temperature, humidity, all that other stuff, and it does some data gathering of, like, you ever had that guy that ran in there and screwed around in the installer setup and made a geothermal, one heat, one cool furnace? I didn't touch it. This one will tell you they did that, and you can say, don't do that anymore, man. Come on, we're setting it up to work with your stuff. So it's really got a lot of things in there that's going to help you do predictive diagnostics instead of run around like a chicken with your head cut off trying to find out what's going on here, right? And 2 wires at the stat means you don't have to pull a wire, right? You just need 2 good wires and mount it down there at that return. That usually goes down at the return. And when I got a USB port on this thing that I can upload my logo, and it's like a high-def billboard for your company. You can also upload all the dealer information, where you're located, and phone numbers, and you got different reminders like time for your spring tune-up, time for your fall tune-up, your warranty's expiring. There's 10 different custom alerts that you can type in, and some people don't even use it for heating and air. They just say, can that thermostat remind me when to winterize my boat? Yep. Doesn't matter what the alert is, you can type in 10 customizable different things, right? Is that cool? You like that? Or you don't like that? Yep.
Say, can you have it show the company logo when it's getting an alert that something's not right?
What happens is it says, big orange ball on one side of that stat's going to say what the alert is, and they push it, and your logo comes up. Okay? And that's awesome. And, it's pretty cool.
We got customers who are pretty busy, and sometimes they don't even know who you are. Yeah, I mean, you put it in 5 years ago.
Well, they forget you. You don't want, that's bad, right?
Yeah.
You don't want anybody to forget nobody.
We want it to come back up and say,
Yep.
hey, we're the guys that put it in, we can take care of it.
Yep, and it does that. And then we got two ways of doing this. So you sell service agreements now, right? So you might only have one. So we have, this is all within the free app alert, but we have a paid app alert that we have to charge a fee for, but you can embed it into the connected service agreement. So if you got these connected stats in, you can say you want the non-connected agreement or you want my remote connection package. It's a little more expensive. That price is embedded in there. It's $25 a year for a stat. But if it's $150 for this agreement, $250 for this agreement, and you give one website where all that information can flow for your service department to manage all those, because, I mean, you got 1,000 of these out there, you know, how are you going to manage all those alerts? It'll drive you nuts. This takes it to one website that manages it high, medium, and low priority and tells you who it is, right? It's very easy to manage. And you're going to make money on it, too, because you should charge a little more for that, right? And $50 more to a service agreement is like $4 extra a month. So we're not talking about a lot of money, but times 1,000 agreements, and you're making $25 more an agreement, that's $25,000 to your bottom line. And they're paying you for the system to tell you it don't work or not. And it costs you $300 to get your phone to ring. Economics. Yes, sir.
You can upload that dealer information up there. Can you download it, that USB port, those trend logs onto a...
You download it to the USB, take it, and look it on your computer, and it Excel spreadsheets the whole thing. It's very cool. Okay. That plus that equals internet. Gotta have the gateway with it. Okay. And then I got another install video for this that's going to walk through all the, you know, how to connect all that stuff, similar to the other one, but just for this stat. Gateway, all these things can hook to that system. I think I deleted the video. Hold on, I'll bring it up. Show. Let's see here. Sorry about that, guys. Prestige install video. Oh no. That doesn't make any sense.
Welcome to the installation guide for the redesigned Prestige IAQ. In this video, we'll cover how to install the equipment interface module, how to install the thermostat, how to power optional RedLINK wireless accessories, and how to perform initial thermostat setup. To skip ahead or review a specific section, just click on the chapter menu below. Let's begin. The Prestige IAQ can either be installed using an EIM or TrueZone wireless adapter. This video will only demonstrate installation with an EIM. To learn more about installing with a TrueZone wireless adapter, please visit forwardthinking.honeywell.com. First, mount the EIM near the equipment or on the equipment itself. Use screws and anchors as appropriate for the mounting surface. If you're mounting an EIM inside a metal cabinet, such as a commercial rooftop unit, we recommend using a wireless adapter for extended range.
That's the same for both units, okay?
Wire
Both stats.
applicable equipment to the corresponding EIM terminals based on the designations listed in your install guide. To install the Prestige IAQ, first separate the wall plate from the thermostat. For drywall, drill holes that are 3/16 of an inch wide. For plaster, drill holes that are 7/32 of an inch wide. Mount the wall plate using screws and anchors included with your thermostat. Next, connect power and common from the EIM to the R and C terminals at the thermostat. You can also use a separate 24-volt transformer to power the thermostat. Push excess wire back into the wall opening once it's connected. Then, place the coin cell battery in the thermostat as shown with the plus side up. The battery saves time and date in the event of a power loss. Finally, align the thermostat to the wall plate and snap into place. System power can now be reapplied. To power optional RedLINK accessories, install batteries in each device and set them aside. Please note the indoor and outdoor sensors, entry-exit remote, and vent and filter boost remote each require additional setup. Please follow the on-screen prompts during the thermostat installer setup. Next, hook up the RedLINK Internet gateway to the customer's router or modem with an Ethernet cable. Then connect the gateway's power cord to an electrical outlet that isn't controlled by a wall switch. To perform initial thermostat setup, follow the prompts on screen to select the type of system you're installing. Then, link the thermostat to the EIM. Press and quickly release the connect button on the EIM, and make sure the connected light is flashing green. If the connected light doesn't flash green, another system may be in listening mode. Exit the listening mode at the other system and try again. While the connected light flashes green on the EIM, press next on the thermostat. After a short delay, the screen will display device connected. You'll then be prompted to connect RedLINK accessories. Select yes to connect new accessories, or no to configure additional options and finish setup. If you selected yes, while the add device screen
Kind of
is displayed,
redundant,
you can
right?
begin
Same
adding
thing.
new accessories. Press and release the connect button on each new accessory to link it to the thermostat. After a short delay, check the thermostat to confirm the connection. Continue adding accessories by pressing and releasing the connect button on each device and checking the thermostat to confirm connection. A countdown timer will display while the thermostat is in listening mode. If it detects no activity for 15 minutes, it will automatically exit. Please note, accessories must be at least 2 feet away from the EIM during the linking process. Touch Done at the thermostat after all new accessories are connected. Complete initial setup by selecting the desired options. Touch Done to finish. The thermostat will then display its home screen, along with an alert message prompting you to set the time and date. After this step, setup is complete. For
So
more information on installation, wiring diagrams, or operation, see your install guide or visit forwardthinking.com.
it's almost exactly the same, right? Oh, where'd that go? So, current slide. Once you what happened? Once you get those connected, right, then you have to take the homeowner to mytotalconnectcomfort.com to have remote access to these. Okay, tells you in the instruction manual what to do. It's just with the gateway. It's a little 4-page book. Tells you the website. You'll know it by heart after a while. Then you gotta create an account, and it's got this thing nobody reads, right? But it's just telling you it's right. Scroll down the bottom, and you don't know what you're saying. Really, it's just security stuff and legalese, and we're not sharing information. You're not going to get email from nobody. And then they're going to do email, retype email, password. It's kind of like signing up for jcp.com or whatever. You know, that's JCPenney. Not that I use that. I don't know why that popped in my head. But like iTunes or whatever you buy online, Amazon.com. And you just create an account. I always tell my contractors to do that when you first get there. You know, whether you just write it out on a piece of paper or have it typed up nice and neat, is here's your instructions while I go do this. They'll go ahead and do all that stuff, get out of the way so you don't have to fool with it, right? You go do the install, come back and say, you got that done. It's good. They'll fill that out. It'll send them an email. They'll link back out of that email. And then in the thermostats, and on the box here, it's got a MAC ID and a CRC code. You have to enter that in when it prompts you, and by the time you're done installing, that'll already be sitting there waiting on you, and it just makes it a lot easier, right? And you'll get it once you put a few in. You'll manage it.
Tell them to write it down as they're doing it.
Huh?
Tell them to write it down as they're doing it.
Write down
Write down
the password that they just created, right? Because they'll forget and have to read it.
List because you might, during your install,
Man, you're
you might
absolutely
have
right.
to type in that password.
Well, the thing that I've had a homeowner when I'm going out on jobs with contractors, doing the first couple of commissioning with them to train, homeowner just set up a password and forgot it as soon as I'm guilty of that. So you're right. Have them write it down so you don't have to waste time.
Put this in a desk somewhere in case you
Right.
ever need it again.
Yep. So let me show you what it looks like once you do all that. So I'm just going to sign into my house real quick. And I'm heading to Fort Wayne after this, so I'm not even going home. So I want to make sure I'm set back because that's what I do. So got to remember my password. Damn it. You had to say that, man. There we go. No. That's my old rental property I got rid of. I don't want to be a landlord. I got to take that out. This is my house in Fishers, which is northeast Indiana here. That's a test site. I just got to test the Wi-Fi. That's the upgrade. I'm testing it, and so I just label it computer room. It's by my furnace. That's why it's hotter. And this is my house. So I view thermostat. Let me go back real quick. That could be store number 821, store number 822. It'll just stack up as many as I'll add. Free, one account. So I got some C stores where they got like 90 C stores in Kentucky, and they're changing out old stats and putting these in because it's low cost energy management, right? That's awesome. And now I can that facility guy can sit there and just control all that stuff, and he ain't got to pay $20,000 for enterprise software. Yes, Craig.
So then when he signs up, he just signs up
One account.
and then he just puts the
Multiple
serial numbers
locations.
of each individual.
Yep, so I'll show you how that works. So I go to my account and add location. And I type in the location name, store 5121, commercial or residential right there, location, Craig's email, right, so they can bug you. There's 6 different emails I can put in there in the free app. If I do the contractor portal, I don't have to worry about putting my email in there because once they sign up on the paid part, then you send them an email and they say, I accept, and their information starts flowing without that free app in there. Does that make sense? But if you want to just put your service department email in there, you could totally get alerts same as them. A lot of my contractors do that, right? And it may be an elderly couple, and
What tells them that that's store 108? Is there a certain
it would show up.
number,
No. Oh, every stat has its own MAC ID number, so you're just adding that to the location.
So he'll do that at his office once
Yep.
he does it all, and then he'll
Yep. So let's say I got 40 stats in one location. Well, I only see the one location here, but once I drill down that, all 40 stats come up, and they're all named: computer room, conference room, or in residential, it'd be upstairs, downstairs, bonus room, whatever it is, right? Makes it very easy to manage, and it's free, right? And so let's talk about a situation. I got computer room listed here. How many of you are commercial contractors in here, right? So what do they do in a computer room? What's the main reason for a heating and air, cooling system in there?
keep the computers from
And what happens if it overheats?
the servers burn up, fry.
And how much are servers?
It costs a lot more than that thermostat.
Exactly. It ain't about, look, man, who knows what I can do with that? You know what's in it?
Probably nothing.
Shut up, Craig. But you don't know, right? And most techs, and I used to be the guy that was guilty of that, use their wallet to make the customer's decisions. And you don't know what they got. And you can't look at them and tell, right? I've sold dual fuels and trailers. And that's a true story. And if I prejudged them, I'd have never done it. I don't care. I start at the top and work my way to the bottom. If you go buy a car, they don't take you to the cheap lot. They take you to the Escalade lot. Hey, what do you think about that? Moonroof and leather seats. Too much. I drive out with an Impala. I'm not going to have a Yugo. So, you know, you don't start at the bottom and work your way up, because the others start there, right? And how many times in my career as an in-home salesman did I screw up and just say, oh, man, all you need is this 10 SEER, and that's back when 10 SEER was around, and 80%. And I changed my ways. I got trained on how to give options. Let the homeowner choose. Here's the best I got. Here's something in the middle, and here's entry level. Which one do you want? Because I really don't care. I just want one of them. Because if I don't get one of them, somebody else gets it. It's no different with this. So let's say low-hanging fruit. I'm the guy that goes out and services your jobs you sell for maintenance, right? We sell time on commercial jobs. And I know David, the IT guy that works over here at this company. And this is David, the IT guy's desk, and that's David, the IT guy's closet. And it's got a Liebert system or a 2-ton, whatever. And this is the thermostat. Well, I don't want to pick on Jackson's stat, but let's just say it's a stat on the wall, that conventional stat, nothing dedicated. Because some of these splits, mini splits, have dedicated controls, and you could just stick stat on the wall and still get the email. But if it's controlling a system, you can do both. You can control the system and say, hey, David, how do you know when the cooling goes down in your computer room? And David says, that's a good, dude, I have no idea, because it went down a couple years ago and on a Saturday, and I lost some stuff. I lost some equipment, or, you know, I just don't know. That's an opportunity for a commercial guy. And that's low-hanging fruit's what I call it, because you get the IT guy and you're protecting his stuff, and there's 40 more stats in the building. What's the chance you get them all, right? So it's all strategic thinking, and it's all just opening your eyes when you're out on a job. Instead of, man, I can't wait to get these filter changed so I can go get a beer. Man, that's fine. I like drinking beer after hours too, but I'm going to work while I'm at work. And I'm going to get opportunities here, because I want all that stuff. And then I can, you know, we can't do this with other things. So, inexpensive way to get your customer connected to you and get the whole building on a low-cost energy management. And if you're, you know, if you do higher level energy management systems in your commercial job, like Jace, Jace is our Java controlled energy management system that runs off our Niagara framework that we own. This is scalable to that. I don't have to go rip all those out. I can go hire an integrator, have Jace put in, and do, if it's a, you know, I got canopy lighting, if it's a C-store and food prep stations, and if it's got gas tanks out front, I can even know what the level of gas is in the tanks. I don't have to rip that off and buy new stuff. I can just integrate it. It makes it awesome, right? So these things are not toys. They're professional, and they're not. I'm not here to sell you thermostats. I'm here to sell you a business solution that makes sense. And you can go out and, hey, I can hook it to my phone, but I can do so much more, right? Solve comfort problems, residential, commercial. I don't have to stock 2 different things. I can, you know, unless it's these 2, right? But I don't have to have a whole truckload of thermostats and then not know where to use what. And have an easy control. And then at my house, it's 68. I don't know why I left it there so I could move it down. I'm leaving to go to Fort Wayne. It's 74 in my house. My couch don't care what the my couch don't care what the temperature is. I don't have any pets, right? So big deal. It can get down to 62 and not hurt anything at my house. And tomorrow morning or tomorrow afternoon, when I'm heading back home from Fort Wayne, I'm going to look at it and say, what's the temperature in my house? If it's fine, I'm not going to turn it on, right? It's that time of year anyway where we don't even need to run our systems sometimes. But I got control. And then I go in here to menu, and that's where I'm going to set some free some free alerts, right? If my temperature gets higher than 79 degrees in my house, guess what I get? I get an email. And if I'm in Florida in the middle of summer, because I'm taking my kids to Disney World, and my compressor takes a crap, right? I'm going to know it. And then I can call my contractor that's in Carmel to go over to Fisher's and fix it. Here's my garage code. We know each other. You know, you got those relationships with your customers, right? That's an awesome thing. You got people that live in Indiana that live in Florida all summer, all winter, come back here because summer's awesome here. Winter's not so much, right? Especially last couple. And that's just a whole different ballgame with your homeowner, right? If it gets lower than 50 degrees in my house, I get an email, right? And you could get that same email. If my humidity's higher than 60, that's a problem, right? I got R value, 60% humidity in my house. I'm starting to feel it. I get an alert because I don't want stuff to start growing in my house because I got humidity issues. In the wintertime, if it goes below a certain level, I can get an alert, right? Now, I don't have mine checked because I got a dew point controller, right? And sometimes dew point controller, if it's -2 outside, it might be 25% humidity in my house because I'm limiting it to not get water all over the place. I don't want that to be a nuisance alert, so I uncheck that box. Make sense? Everybody know what I'm talking about? So then I also get notify me if communication's lost between my gateway and the internet. Notify me if communication lost between my RedLINK gateway and my thermostat. If I fail to make a change because I didn't hit submit, it'll email me and say, go back, hit submit, right? So it gives you some options. And then down here, if I got multiple stats in that location, all those alerts, I press that button and it globally applies them to every stat in the location. So if I got 40 stats over at Dollara, push that button and it goes. That's a little more sophisticated building, but you see my point, right? And then I can go in and program all these things. Global scheduling is coming. You still got to do each one now, okay? But I go in, I set my schedule, and it's just asking me questions. So if I want to edit my schedule, it asks me how many days you want the same. I don't schedule my stack because I'm not home. I don't have a set schedule. But if I did, when's the first person wake up? What time's the last person go to sleep? I've only got 2 schedules on there. It's an interview, right? The stat does the same interview. So instead of, you remember Chronotherm 3s? They're all on hold if they're still out there. They were a bear to program. You had to copy day, copy day, copy day. Hated that. Vision Pro 8000, when they came out in 2004, which I can't believe is that long ago, right? But 11 years. I can still, I could do all that, and it was a little easier to program. But this is even easier than that because it asks that, you know, that interview that you do with a homeowner, and you're like, what time y'all get up, what time you go to bed. Now you put your hands right here and you say, you do it. And they're like, whoa. So you don't get that call back, man, come rip it off the wall because I can't figure it out. We want them to own their stuff and feel good about what they bought. And this stuff allows you to do that. So we actually patented that interview you do. And it's a virtual you there all the time for that homeowner on the app and in front of the stat. Is that cool? And let me cancel that because I don't have a setting. I run my humidifier from my app. I can set it, check it, turn it on, turn it off. I run my dehumidifier from my app. And that's even if you got, you know, active dehumidification by tying my dehum loop through your dehum loop of your furnace, right, or air handler that's got that feature. Pull a couple more gallons out with active dehum. Or I can add a whole house dehumidifier to it and actually turn it on and off or up or down, which is very convenient, right? And that's cool. So that's how the app works. Is that cool? Right? Let me bring up one other thing.
Can I ask an install question?
Yeah, man.
So I'm on a commercial site, and I got a rooftop.
Yep.
So I got to put the wireless on the inside.
Got to stick it in the cabinet.
Right. Now, do I need to get a scissor lift from my installer to get it? Does it need to be right underneath the roof, or can it
No,
be down
because that's not very economical, is it?
That's what I'm-
Scissor lift, I got to go to Sunbelt Rentals and drag a trailer over. Don't want to do that. So we make this thing called a wireless adapter module. And on that EIM, right, that comes with the Prestige, or you can buy it separate for the Vision Pro, I can mount that up in the cabinet. So I got a roof hatch. I go up there and I do all my troubleshooting there. And then on the duct drop, right below the ceiling line, I add that little 4-wire adapter. So I got to do it once. Got to get up there once and do that. And that'll allow the wireless signal, because steel
So it'll
is
be
the kryptonite of the stuff,
it'll be
okay?
inside the duct.
Yep. It'll be in the control panel.
It's got to be below the
Drop it
ceiling.
below the roof line, and then it'll send everything to the stat below, right? Or you got a wire already coming down from there, mount it somewhere accessible, right? Like in a C-store, you get past out in the back, and I can just mount it on the wall back there, right? Just cut the wire and reroute it.
So then on a Prestige, on a commercial environment again, in an office like over there,
Yes, sir.
are the people in the office locked out of messing
You can
with
lock it out. You can also put it in a closet and put a wireless sensor out in space and have one control panel where nobody can even get to it. So let me just walk through a couple of that, because that's really good stuff. So in our website, forwardthinking.honeywell.com, you can go here and we have a training tab with an interactive demo for this stuff. Highly recommend you do it. All your Jackson people know how to take you here, okay? So call them tomorrow when you got nothing better to do. Call Rachel. She loves to talk about this stuff. Right, Rachel?
Always.
And I bring that up, and I don't have to stump my toe in front of the homeowner or the business owner, right? I hated that as a tech, right? And I read this. I'm a nerd, guys, and I read this stuff and love it, right? But not everybody does. But you can go in here and practice on this thing. Let's set up a commercial job. You know how on a commercial job you put a new stat in and you want to know what RTU it's running? And you take a black magic marker and write RTU1 and on a brand new stat? Well, why do that? I can say display on home screen, hit thermostat, name it RTU1, and it'll show up on the stat. Or I can say conference room, Bob's office, Susie's office, whatever, personalize it. It's whatever you want to do. Then I can go through and set all my stuff up, right? Not zoned, connect my module, and add my accessories. But I'm going to skip through that because I want to show you some of the features of when I go to menu, holiday event schedule reminder, right? I'm with the owner of the business. They're closed on certain days. So I can say U.S. holidays and add them, and it gives me all. I'm closed New Year's Day, Memorial Day, Independence Day, Christmas Eve, and Thanksgiving, Christmas, the usual stuff, right? And then push done or next, and I want it occupied mode on those days, and I'm not turning on heat or cooling when I don't need it, right? That's cool stuff. Both those stats do that, okay? And then I go, let's say, and then I can set my settings and make them higher or lower or whatever, and it'll tell me what I did. Then I can, let's say I'm a retail outlet that's open on Black Friday, and Black Friday changes, right? It's Black Thursday now, so you're getting done eating turkey, they're open. So now we can adjust all that stuff. And I could say, let me add a custom one. I can't remember where my custom was. Hold on. Previous menu, custom events, create a new event, occupied, specific date, monthly, weekday, and I can say, November and whatever Thanksgiving is. I want to be open, and I pick that day. Let me get to the right year, and I want my cool whatever. Set it, and it'll do that in there one time only or every year, and you can customize those events. It's pretty cool, right? And on the install, I can go here to my manual, which is my product data here, and I can download and see what all this stuff does, guys. And the product data has everything this thing will do. And then on the EIM here, oh gosh, where are you? On my EIM, there's that 4-wire adapter, okay? And you tie it into the 4-wire side of that and just drop it down below the roof line. You're good to go, okay? And there's your Delta T monitoring where we recommend you put your supply and return sensors in the duct, okay? So it gives you some recommendations there. All that mess, what to do with all this, that, and the other, how to hook up your gateway. I hope nobody's epileptic because I'm probably going to put you in a seizure. And then you got your module. Where's the module? Come on. Anyway, it's a big, thick book if you get a hard copy of it.
What about if they have a utility room and there's 4 furnaces stacked right next to each other? Do they have any problem?
Crap. No, the modules just have to be 2 foot away from each other because it's a big signal, and if it's right beside it.
Furnaces are not side by side by side.
Well, you can mount. You don't have to mount the modules on the furnace. You can stick them on the wall somewhere. They just need to be 2 foot apart.
Between each module.
Yep. And that's.
I agree that they should be 2 feet apart. But I'll be honest with you, we had a zoning job where I had 6 modules, a 6-zone system. I had pretty much all 6 of those modules almost touching each other.
The problem is it's intermittent.
Is it intermittent?
Yep.
Okay.
It could not, and you don't want to roll that kind of dice. Callbacks are killers.
You know, if you put it on the return, if they're uploads, you put it on the return, you got a furnace between them, you probably got it.
And some Linux systems, I've had people put them on the side of the furnace, and the high dollar variable speed creates some kind of harmonic thing and could interfere. So I try not to put them on the furnace. I put them on the duct drop, like he's saying, on the return. It just makes more sense. Okay, and 2 feet apart, sir.
Yeah, I've got several commercials that have furnaces in the attic. It gets very, very hot up there. Is that module?
160 degree temperature. Minnesota's where my home office is. Pretty cold there, so it's negative 40, 165. So you can keep it on your truck, right, and not worry about weather stuff. And inside that product data, all of our stats, if you look inside the manual, there's a temperature stocking ranges. Okay, so that's a good point, right? Because you don't want to put something in an attic that's going to melt, right, or warp it or something. So we really cook this thing. So 165 is the limit, and we bake them up to over 200 degrees, and we've seen them distort and warp and still work, but we don't. Your house is burning down if it's 200 degrees. Okay. All right. Postcode. If you go to forwardthinking.honeywell.com, this gentleman here brought up rebates in Indiana, in central Indiana, or Vectren everywhere else, but in Marion County here, it's Citizens. Both of those have $100 rebates for Wi-Fi or RedLINK, right? And that's a great thing. I just changed out my system and just zoned my 2-story house. It was really out of whack. I mean, I had that 10-degree. I mean, I live with this stuff, right? And I've been there 2 years. My kids hated it because they don't want to come downstairs in the wintertime, and I had to buy plug-in heaters to compensate, and that just kills your. I mean, you go look at your meter, and it looks like you could saw wood with that thing, right? I got $300. I put 3 zones in that house, and Vectren gave me $300. And my variable speed, they gave me $250 for it. So that's nice. Better than a hole in the head, right? So if you're wherever you are in the U.S., if you go to our website, right in the middle, we got a find rebate tab. 460338. That's Fishers, Indiana. $100 through Citizens Gas, and they'll give you $20 for a regular programmable stat, and $100 from Vectren, which I pay Vectren. You go everywhere outside our county here, and you're going to pay Vectren, right? If you're on the bottom or on the meter. So I don't think Duke has it. It'd show up here because we load these things up. So anywhere you're at in the U.S., you can just type that in, and we conveniently gather those up for you. And I can reserve my funds online, and it's going to link to Clear Results website that gives you what you got to do to fill it out right there. You print that out, take it with you. Let the homeowner do it right there at the house. Hey, sell you a Wi-Fi stat today and get $100 back. So if you're charging, I don't know, $400 for whatever you're putting in, or one of these things where it's going to be more, right? $100 looks pretty great to get back, and it's going to give you some sense of urgency to do it, some juice, right? And why not? And they limit 3, right? So you can't do more than 3. And the reason is in another part of the U.S., they did this, and some guy, it's capitalism, figured out that, man, I'll just go buy a bunch of these things and then sell them online and get all them rebates. And he did, and they figured that out, and now they limit to 3. So if you find out who that guy is, we'll beat him up, right? But, you know, it's kind of a sweet spot. But use that stuff. So Wi-Fi, great for residential. RedLINK can do both, and we can do a lot of cool stuff. When I get into RedLINK and I start adding that module, I can start doing dry contacts and get alerts other than just heating and cooling alerts and all that other mess. How many of you are plumbers too? Anybody in this room? You sell sump pumps? So what happens if I sell a sump pump with a battery backup and the battery initiates? How long do I have to get home before that battery dies? About 6 hours. Some, like PHCC sump pumps, already have dry contacts on the back of it. I could tie it into my stat. So instead of selling, if you're selling a sump pump replacement, chances are there's already been a flood of some sort or water spilling over. Am I wrong on that? So here's my sump pump, and here's my sump pump with battery backup and remote monitoring. Which one do you want today? And if you buy this one, I'll automate the HVA system for free. Well, that's great. I'll do that. I mean, this is all just how you position it. It's choices, right? And now if you got a plumbing side and a heating and air side, you just built a bridge between those two divisions of your company. Instead of, man, there's a plumber, there's a heating and air guy. He's got a bunch of PVC on his pants. He's clean. I mean, we need these guys communicating together and you know, hey, there's a sump pump over here. And I don't care if you're not even a plumber, right? You might be working on a furnace and there's a sump pump crock right beside it, right? You know what a Diversitech WS1 wet switch is, a little hockey puck? I can stick it right by that thing, tie it out 2 wires a foot away over to my EIM and get an alert. Type in, your sump pump's overflowing, you better call a plumber or whatever. That's huge, right? Otherwise, man, how do I know I got a problem? I got home from my vacation, I got 2 foot of water in my basement. Why? So, I don't know which one of you said it earlier. It might have been you. Thermostat ain't so expensive now, is it? What's worse? $10,000 property damage, or, you know, whatever you charge for this thing. It's a lot less for this thing. It's peace of mind. Security companies charge $10 a month to add a wet switch to their security system. You're not charging anything. You're selling whatever you charge a wet switch for. And you're getting that information. I could put a pressure switch on the backside of a dirty filter. Type it and say, when it gets to 0.5 static, email me because it's going to burn my fan up if I don't, right? These things, they sell these things here. Contact closes, sends you an email. So doesn't matter what the dry contact is. But RedLINK allows you to tie up to 4 of them if you're not using the 2 sensors. If you're using the 2 sensors, you got 2 left over. And if you got 4 systems, you got 2 with every system left over, right? So it's just easier and easier. Train pan, float switch, whatever it is, right? So we're out of time. Hopefully I covered as much stuff as I could in an hour and a half, right? Any questions?
It's got a residential rebate. Do you have a commercial rebate?
I'm not sure what the commercial is.
Pretty sure it's the same.
It's on Vectren.
We only put, on this one, we only factor that in, but Vectren.com and Citizens, you can go in there and see. I'm sorry, I don't know. I should. Do we have any online questions? David, any online questions?
Yeah. On the thermostats that don't need the common wire, can you explain how the batteries get charged, why the batteries get low with all 4 wires being connected right in the brand new furnace and AC unit?
The question was, why do the batteries get low in a 4-wire stat? It's because they're batteries. I don't want you to use battery power any of this. You can't. You have to use a common, right? And if you don't have a common, use a wire saver on the Wi-Fi. On the RedLINK, you can go battery. It's about 2 years battery life, and 2 months before it dies, it's going to say change me, right? So hopefully that answers the question. Is that the Pacific, does he have a specific stat?
No.
Okay. Hopefully that answers your question on that. These are common. You need to have a common, or you need to have the wire saver, so you don't have to yank a wire up, or you just add the module at the furnace and use 2 wires, and the battery power doesn't matter because I got transformer power. Okay. And one more thing, when I got those 2 sensors in there, and I lose battery power communication or thermostat screws up, it doesn't let the house get colder than 62 or hotter than 82 with the backup. So it's actually better than a battery powered stat because there's no backup on those. Any other online?
Did you say you could interface with your alarm systems so when you have it set for away mode, it reduces the temperature?
There's no alarm system tie-in on RedLINK. Some of the API, open API on our Wi-Fi stats, some alarm systems companies are allowing our Wi-Fi stats to interface with it, but this is still in its infancy on that side, right? Carrier just integrated their security and home side. We just did. We have a whole nother division of Honeywell now called Honeywell Connected Home. In Louisville, that's our global security down there. And Minnesota is our global ACS, commercial and residential heating and air side. And we just stole some parts of both of those and made a whole other division to bridge our security and heating and air together. So there's a yes and no, and there's some gray area there. So it depends on the brand. And like his was ATT Security, they're still using Z-Wave. And we make a Z-Wave stat that'll talk to that, but it's still kind of closed protocol on a lot of those, right? And you can go to Lowe's, and they got stuff like Iris and Link, and those are all open API, and they work with our stuff. And that bridges even your garage door opener could be a different app than my stuff and other things, and brings all those down to one app, which is pretty cool. So it's a yes and no answer to that. I'm sorry I couldn't be a little more clear, but we're just not there yet. That's why you're not too late, guys, right? But connect now. Any other online?
Can these thermostats work with modulating furnaces?
Okay, so modulating furnaces depends on the board that's in it, right? So if I got a Carry Infinity modulating, I got to have the Carry Infinity stat today. Otherwise, it doesn't modulate the gas valve. All right, right? But there's other brands that don't use the stat to modulate. The board does it. So if the board does it, yes. If the stat does it, no. Simple as that, right? You got to know your equipment. Some of them do it with just a 2-stage stat. Some of them you could dumb it down to a single stage and it'll move and all that mess. So it depends on your equipment, but I will never tell a Carrier dealer, a Bryant dealer, or a Lennox Harmony dealer to not use, or that's their zoning, but the top of the line systems, you defeature the furnace when you don't use their top of the line stuff. But when I ask contractors, how many of those top line communicating stats you do, how many y'all do? Probably more than the average because you guys are pretty awesome. But a lot of people, it's like 10% tops. I want the other 90, right? Because that's a whole bigger spectrum of stuff I can connect, if that makes sense, right? Guys, thank you for your time, okay?
Thanks everybody for
Right.
coming. And Gary and I will
Yes.
be here if you guys have any questions specifically.
EIM is for the AT&T.
Yep.
Can they address that with that?
Doesn't communicate.